morning. I'm taking a leap to do this video here rather than posting on YouTube, and hopefully I will be able to download it and transfer it over there to my channel that I've started. However, I felt like it was important to jump into the unified field this morning and share what's been coming through for me synchronistically from the moment my eyes sprung open this morning, and it's just continued to amplify. And I can tell you why. From my perspective, going into what's happening today within the astrological data and awareness, today is actually my galactic birthday, and I just heard the hawk that lives here outside. What great timing. I haven't seen it yet. My dad has. My brother has when he was here. But it just comes and perches right near where I'm living and speaks to me. And that's enough. That's enough. So birds are relevant. Birds connect us to the inner dream planes. Let me turn that down. Maybe that's too loud in the background. And these inner planes are incredibly important. Just as important as what we're seeing on the surface and what we're seeing in physical manifestation, but it's all interrelated. It's all interconnected, and that's the point. So, really quickly, let me just show you a couple of things that popped up. I started with this video here, which is actually about, it's a chapter from the book of Time Space by Jose Argüelles and Stephanie South. This is one synchronicity that popped up as someone was asking for a connection with someone who can talk to him about the Mayan cosmology. And this is the Dreamspell, of course. This is the Dreamspell. This is not Mayan cosmology, but I think this is really relevant. Just this beginning portion. Look at the videos that are coming up on the side, too. Jack Cornfield. I've been watching a lot of Muji and Hang Drum. This right here, William Shakespeare. Midsummer Night's Dream has been huge on my path personally, and several other people.
The wizard's garden is to enter a realm that is teeming with the mind of creation itself. A realm where the gnomes breathe life into the rocks and flower beds, keeping the garden balanced, grounded, and steady. It is the realm where the tree fairies keep watch on all the sacred trees, helping them to ripen, blossom, and give forth their succulent fruit. The fairies know that the trees are the portals of the other worlds. It is the realm with bright purple roses, orange daffodils, and fragrant lavender bloom with the unseen aid of the flower fairies who lovingly guide their opening. It is the realm where the glorious unicorn roams free, offering its medicinal horn to all in need. The wizard's garden is the realm of Villa, the air fairy who guards the harvest and teaches the herbal arts, fruit growing, and gentleness to animals. Note, it is said that Villa went into hiding when the humans began to make war. It is the realm where Naiad, the beautiful water nymph, keeps the flowing stream crystalline with the purity of her loving spirit, knowing that water is the great reflector, the doorway into the dimensions. In the wizard's garden, all the nature spirits rejoice on the rare occurrence of the Pegasus landing in their midst, bringing tales of interdimensional travel. The wizard's garden breeds self-purification, self-education, and self-attainment. In the postmodern world, the wizard's garden is but a dim memory. Sealed off in favor of a mindset of scientific historical materialism, the wizard's garden remains alive only in the minds of the secret dreamers. Where did the unicorns go? Where are the dragons? Where are the mythic beings? They are trapped behind a sealed door of the mind that is rendered collectively inaccessible. So much so that these beings are now dismissed as fictions, pure figments of the imagination. Though they are no longer recognized as real, these nature spirits and mythical creatures feed on popular fiction. They are the archetypal wellspring of literature, music, and film. Fairies, elves, gnomes, vampires, werewolves, dwarves, etc. This is because the power of the imagination never died, even though the belief systems banished these characters
and I listened to this song, this exact
How can we open
track
this
in the background
sealed door to release the part
often.
of our mind
It's on my
capable of
playlist.
entering into constructs of the imaginal realm, as well as the paranormal? The combination of these two realms opens the spirit world, the world of jinn, elementals, or the fairy faith. Just because it has been sealed off doesn't mean it ceases to exist. It merely means that the modern mind has defined itself on such a narrow wavelength band that this door has almost become invisible.
Okay, I think that's enough here. Whew. The handpan in the background is because that is an instrument that is coming to me to be part of my art, to be part of my gift, to be part of who I am, to be part of the sound healing that I'm guided to offer. This boat embarking on the water is incredibly important here as well. There's a lot of symbolism of us embarking on a journey, but this has been within my journey. I had a dream about embarking in this boat, getting into this boat and rowing out into a lake. And there was someone else that had talked about taking your boat out into the lake. I can't remember where I heard this, so the reference is escaping me at the moment. But you're taking your boat out into the river or into the lake, and you can go alone, but there's another area back here that enters into another section, another part of another lake that can only be crossed if you have, it's kind of like a lane that, you know, on the highway that you have to have multiple people in, right? That special lane that you have to have multiple people in your vehicle to prove that you're offsetting your carbon footprint in order to be in that fast lane, right? You have to have more than one person in your boat to cross over into this other area of the water, this other area of consciousness. Okay, this other area of consciousness is collective consciousness. It's the connections that we have. It's the fact that we're not traversing this journey alone. We are working together. And there's times where we need to be alone. There's times where we need to get back into this boat that is over in this section of the lake that's alone. And that's okay as well. And that's exactly what's going on right now as we come up on the Libra Aries full moon. We're talking about, and right now the moon is in Pisces, but we're edging into Aries. We're approaching Chiron. The full moon is going to be on October 1st, in 2 days. Aries opposite Libra. But for today, we have a quincux. We have a quincux, the sun and the moon. The moon being in Pisces. And yesterday, the moon entered Pisces just as Mercury entered Scorpio. So a lot of us were feeling depths of emotions, depths of thinking that were very watery and potentially difficult to navigate. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, which is down here in this this station in Capricorn. Yes, I'm aware of using the literary terms, and I don't always use proper grammar, which is part of the irony here. When you're in that emotional state, especially a moon in Pisces, and when Mercury goes into a watery sign, sometimes grasping that mental awareness becomes difficult because the emotions are so deep. The feeling is so deep. So what we're trying to manifest, what we're trying to work through, what we're trying to co-create here in this new earth is being challenged. Hi, Crystal. It's being challenged by our ability to work with our emotional intelligence, to work with our ability to balance our feeling and our thought process. And this is very, very much a crux of the masculine and feminine templates as well, right? Because the feminine is seen as emotional and feeling. Hi, Terry, welcome. Right? And then the masculine is seen as logical and thinking in the mind. And that's not even entirely true from a totality standpoint, because we are tending to look at, and we're stepping away from this, that the masculine is male, men, and the feminine is female. And as we step away from that, as those two merge within ourselves, within the inner union, as the mind and the heart we recognize merging within the self, then we can come to terms with connecting with others, connecting with the collective consciousness, connecting with the whole Libra balance in a whole different way. Because the self-integration, the self-healing, who am I? What is this balance within who I am? What is this balance of the twin within that I am? How is that reflecting in my relationship with others? And that's how we're building the new earth, and that's incredibly important. So the other thing that came up for me today in this beautiful new group that's happening, this beautiful group that I've been part of, the global elite movement. Okay? I found this there. A link to this man who is Sovereign Anon Ardima. And obviously we've got a lot of mutual friends. This just anchored so much this morning. What I've been working with multiple different groups, as many of us are, but one of my main connections is through the Campfire Restoration Project and Regeneration Paradise here in Butte County. And what we're working on doing, obviously, is bringing permaculture awareness to the current times of how to restore after the campfire, and now the Bear and the North Complex fire. And it's not just here. The whole West Coast is on fire, worse than it's ever been, I believe. So why? What's going on? Now, the thing that we've been talking about within this group is that permaculture is also human relations. It's not just the plants and the land and growing a nice garden and feeding ourselves. It's everything. And that includes human relationships. That includes our ability to connect with one another. That, in fact, is the cornerstone, the keystone, the crux point. Because if we can't work together, how are we going to do anything? How are we going to create communities? How are we going to even build a garden together? How are we going to co-create New Earth if we can't even work together? Right? So this is an incredible introduction here, and I'm excited to learn more about what this man has put forward. It's a piece of the puzzle. It's a piece of the puzzle. And today being a yellow lunar seed day, I've recognized that what yellow seeds represent in the Dreamspell is, it's like a sunflower. It's like an acorn that then can grow the whole forest. And that's mentioned in this video. Like, the way that that works is mentioned in this video. Okay? And yeah. Okay, I got a mushroom painting that I just did that connects me to the artist, to the Vision Train. This was done for the Vision Train. That is Alicia Secure is part of that and connected me in, and she led that portion of the mushroom visions that they did, the paintings, the mycelium. There was a whole series of that I still need to catch up on. There's so much happening for all of us. I still need to catch up on that, but it is also many beautiful artists coming together, and led by hold on, you see, this is how it works. This is how the inner consciousness mycelium web system works. Like, I just opened up several things within my own consciousness, and now they have to take root, and now they have to reach, and now those things that I've connected to on the leading edge of my own consciousness need to have a moment to ripple. And as they're doing that, I'm recognizing that I'm losing the names and I'm losing the things that I want to say, but I can feel it and I can see it, and it's all within my consciousness and my awareness. But bringing it out to be able to speak it to you and say it to you, there's a slight disconnect as the new starts to reintegrate and rework within my own mind. It's part of how this works. So that group is run by Amanda Sage, Alex and Allison Gray's daughter. They have been a really tremendous influence for me in my life for several years. Before I even started painting, I've always been an artist, which my galactic tone, my galactic kin is Lamat, 11 Lamat. Yellow star, which in the Dreamspell is art. And it makes sense. Today we have Kawak, 9 Kawak. We have a blue storm, another blue storm day. And in the Dreamspell, it is a blue lunar storm year. To the Dreamspell, the storm is catalyzation, self-generation of energy. But to the Mayans, you know, it's the storms, it's the water, it's the thunder beings, it's the change, it's the lightning, which actually started the fires here in Northern California. We had a lightning storm. Really interesting one that didn't seem, in some ways, didn't seem very natural. It didn't seem normal. I remember laying in bed in the morning that it started and hearing the thunder and the lightning and thinking that it was something else. Thinking that it was, I wasn't really sure. Wasn't sure what it was when it first crashed as I was coming out of dream time. And my mind was trying to figure it out. My mind was in the dream space of other things that were happening, and I was tuned into the ionosphere, which is where lightning happens, right? And then to physically come into this body, to ground into my physical body again out of the dream plane, sometimes takes me a long time. Sometimes I take a while to wake up because I'm in between the worlds. I'm not fully in my body, and I've had sleep paralysis before. I don't know if anybody else gets that. I've had sleep paralysis, and that is that in-between space, in between the worlds of dreaming and conscious awareness. Your mind has become awake, but it hasn't activated the code within the brain, the biology within the brain, for you to be able to bring your body out of a state of stasis and be functional. And so you feel frozen, like you can't move your body, you're not connected to your body. And in those moments, I found that there is a beautiful potentiality to bridge the inner spiritual consciousness with our physical bodies and really somatically feel, what does it mean to embody? What does it mean to bring our spirit into body during that transition point? And so this kin, to me, really relates to that, because you have the seed of consciousness, you have the targeting the flowering of human consciousness, targeting awareness. That's what this kin in the Dreamspell represents. But you have to plant it. You have to have fertile earth. You have to have somewhere to put it. And then Blue Eagle is the higher mind. That is collective consciousness. That is the interdimensional awareness. And in order to ground that down into this physical being, to actualize it, we also have to be aware of White Wizard. Yeah, Terry, there's variations of it. There's various levels of that. And what's happening there is, to me, White Wizard represents our potentiality. This is our ability to enchant. This is our timelessness, our ability to enchant, our experience. It's our gifts that we bring forward. And white wizard is always analog to red serpent. I think that that's significant because that's Kundalini. Those Kundalini activations have to happen in order for us to activate our Merkaba, in order for us to activate our toroidal field, so that when we crown ourselves and we create that feedback loop, we are then able to bring forward our full embodiment, our full awareness of who and what we are. So this kin then also has Yellow Warrior as the guide, which Yellow Warrior is the Rainbow Warriors. Yellow Warrior is questioning intelligence and fearlessness. So we have to question, like what was brought up in this video, we question what's a weed? What's a weed within the garden? What are we seeding? What are we planting? What are we wanting to flower? What are we wanting to come to fruition? We have to question all of that. It's a perpetual process. And when we're working with permaculture, when we're working with plants, but then when we're also working with human interactions and human consciousness, we have to be aware of the seeds that we're planting, and we have to be aware of the ability to be able to recognize from the perspective of the higher mind what is a weed, and what is food, and what is a flower, and what is, what is something we want in the garden. If you don't want it in the garden, why plant the seed? And then what we give our attention to, what we give our focus to, is what we're going to create and co-create. There is no one question to anything. That's very, very valid. And that's when you come back to yellow seed is all of it. It's all of it together. It's everything included in the whole. It is the spiralic microcosm, macrocosm of that. One tiny acorn can then multiply and create a whole forest, which is needed right now because, we've got fires burning. Okay, here's the other thing that's going on that I've been focused on, other people have been focused on. Let's get to, let's see, that's Concow Mountain. This is the Flea Mountain, the main one that I've been watching. There's a sun rising. The fire looked like it was nearly out this morning. There wasn't a whole lot on the horizon. That would be amazing to know. I haven't completely dove in and heard the reports, but it's looking pretty good. Thank goodness. If you look from Meadow Valley, this was last night, this was all flames all the way across here. Now what is this showing from Meadow Valley? This is showing the edge of Highway 70 and the Feather River. And this is where the fire broke through. This is where I've been taking pictures up here on the river, Feather River. We've been going swimming there, friends and I, and it's a really beautiful, powerful place along this river. So much has happened here in the last few years for me personally. This is a place that I go to connect my spirit into body, to embody, to be in nature, to be connected to Gaia, to be connected to the ley lines, to be connected to the water, to be connected to the water that is connected to everything. No, I don't think that it jumped the river. From my understanding, it did not jump the river. This is from the east side. This is looking from the east side. Right? Coming in from the east side from Meadow Valley. This camera facing it here. And you could see the flames along here. And from my understanding, it just kind of went along here and they were able to hold the lines. But I need to go look. I need to go look. But it looks to me like it looks like it's nearly out. I don't know about you, but it looks like it's doing well. Which is fantastic news. Fantastic news. So, I've been gathering acorns. I've been gathering seeds. Many other people have seeds to reseed, to rebuild, to regrow in these burn scars. Okay? And this is about Native American culture as well, and Native American wisdom. This is about listening to the elders. This is about listening to the indigenous people who know what they're talking about and what they're doing. They know how to work with the forest. They know how to work with the fire in a natural way. They have done this before, and what's happened are coming in, and I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I am English, Irish, Scottish, primarily, descendancy. My ancestors, my heritage, we came in and we colonized this land. And we've royally fucked up. We've royally fucked up. We have not stewarded the land in a way that is supportive to the natural regeneration process that Earth knows, that Gaia knows. And we have to take a look at it. We have to pay attention to this. We can't not now. We can't not now. Like, this is not the only fire that was happening, okay? If you look at this, this is alertwildfire.org. And there's been fires all over. Looks like things are looking fairly good, but look here. Mackenzie Ridge. I mean, there's been fires all over the West Coast. And if you've been following this at all and tracking this, a lot of this stuff was flames. Flames everywhere. So an interesting thing, too, is instead, here's the sun coming up, right? Instead of seeing fire. And I posted some pictures yesterday how the fire looked like a sun coming over the horizon. Last night, it looked like a sun. No, I'm sorry, yesterday morning. And then it looked like an eye. And I started just really listening to the messages and the things that were coming through, because to me, that was the way that reality speaks to us, the way that synchronicity speaks to us, the way that when we see things, how we perceive things, how we see things, the lens that we see things through matters. And it connects the dots for us. And that's what Red Earth does. Red Earth is synchronicity and navigation. It's about connecting the dots and following what's happening, what's going on. This being my kin, and this is the kin for today, red crystal earth is the occult kin here. So, you know, connecting the dots, following the grid systems, following the crystalline grid systems, which is a spiritual connection, a spiritual aspect, right? That's not something that is somebody that's coming from just a purely scientific standpoint is really completely going to understand and connect with, right? They're going to be like, oh, what are you talking about? You know, these like energetic ley lines, like power lines, right? Like that's where energy comes from, right? It's PG&E, comes from the power. No, we're talking about the things that Tesla knew as far as free energy. We're talking about the electromagnetics of the earth. So it is scientific, and this is where those things merge. This is where spirituality and science merge. When you talk about the ionosphere, when you talk about the electromagnetics, when you talk about the elements, when you talk about how it all weaves together and how we've tried to understand, we've utilized all of these different lenses to try to understand what we're experiencing as human beings on this planet Earth. And we're experiencing from a multi-dimensional reality. And some of us more so than others. Some of us are more in the higher mind, in the collective consciousness, out into the interdimensional awareness, which would be, you know, Red Skywalker is the traverser of walking the interdimensional awareness. That's Ben. been originally here. But we have to bring it into a coherent connection. We have to ground it into practical physical reality. And that's something that our indigenous awareness knew. Now, we're all indigenous to this earth as human beings. We are Gaia's children. We are from the earth. Our physical bodies are made of the earth. We are made of the earth, and yet we are spiritual beings, right? Yeah, it's very fascinating. It's amazing. And the things that we are remembering, the things that we forgot, the things that we forgot that now we're remembering are the keys to us unlocking all of this that's happening. And the importance of this, what's the importance of looking at astrology, of looking at cosmology, of tracking the planets, of watching how the cosmos affects us? Some people say astrology is airy-fairy bullshit, that it doesn't really, you know, how can those planets way out there have an effect on us? No, we're here on this planet Earth. You need to come down to planet Earth. You need to ground into the fact that you're here in a body, and those planets are too far away to affect us. Really? No, they're part of our solar system. You think that they don't affect us? They affect us here. The moon has a pull, a gravitational pull. The moon has a gravitational pull on water. Okay? We're 75% water. The earth is 75% water. So, we know the moon affects us. We know the sun affects us. Why not Mercury? Why not Venus? Why not Uranus, Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter? Farther out. Why not Neptune? Why not an asteroid? Planetoid? Chiron? And when we really dive into these things and we recognize that it does affect us, we're looking at this individual healing self-identity wound. Individual Chiron and Aries. Mars at home in Aries. Individual. This is the individual. Within the collective whole, within relationship to each other. And Aquarius is the collective whole as well. Sagittarius on the fire side represents the collective whole. Capricorn can represent the collective whole for the earth elements at the end here, right? Okay, so there's a lot coming through. Forgive me, I hope this is coherent enough. There's that Mercury mind jump, right? That's going on right now. So Mercury in Scorpio, we have an opposition here to that. So Pluto co-rules Aries and Scorpio within one of the systems, the sidereal, I believe, system. I may be wrong on that, but there's a co-rulership that happens here. Mars rules Aries, and then co-rules Scorpio, and then vice versa, right? So they're kind of a yin and a yang, water and fire. And here's the elements, right? I mean, we're looking at, we've ascribed elemental wisdom to the planetary system so that we can understand it better, so we can ground it into our Earth-centric ideations and ways of trying to communicate with ourselves and with each other. And this is all about communication with each other, within ourselves too. We got to figure that out. We got to learn how to have our self-talk together, and our self-healing and our self-love and all of that, so that we can have the communications, and so that we can work through the emotional connections. I believe that this one is set as Placidus. I just have it set as Placidus. But I have looked into Vedic. I've studied Vedic in the past, but I was 2 in my emotional body. I was 2 in my emotional body when I was studying it. I had just had my son. I was 19. And I was very much in my emotional body. I had a very difficult time anchoring the intellectual concepts of Vedic astrology. And Vedic astrology is mind-boggling. Vedic astrology, you talk about layers. Wow. you have to be able to grasp fractal quantum awareness to study Vedic astrology, to really study Vedic astrology. And the same thing happens here in the Dreamspell and the Mayan cosmology. We have to be able to grasp a deeper level of awareness, a deeper level of consciousness, a deeper level of connection that goes beyond the words and the terms and the mental constructs. This is about feeling, and feeling is a key to gnosis. Feeling is a key to taking what you know, the knowledge that you have, and actualizing it and living it and grounding it into our earthly experience. That's part of our wizardry. That's part of our enchantments. That's part of the magic that's happening. 9 Kawak is actually within the, let's go to one more here. Jump to 9 Kawak, right here, is still in this mystic central column in the blue monkey wave spell. So it's still being affected by the power of magic, which is very much in tune with the white wizard, which is enchantment, right? They're very similar. They're very similar in the energy that they bring forward. So Blue Lunar Storm, or 9 Kawak, if you know, also has a guide in the Dreamspell of Blue Solar Eagle. We've got the eagle here happening here as well. So these things work is about synchronicity. It's about alignment. It's about finding out, okay, what kin is happening today, and then how does that interrelate with your own birth kin? How does that interrelate with other kin as we're moving forward? What's the progression of this as well, right? It's cyclical. Where are we at? Where are we at within the Zolkin? Where are we at within timescapes? Where are we at within the cosmos? What energies are at play? And then when you're looking at the balance of, you know, this is where the Mayan cosmology is. This is where the actual Mayan calendar is right now. But today, here's yellow lunar seed up here in the blue night wave spell. This is where we're at in the dream spell count. So they're out of sync, right? They're off sync, but there's a reason for it. And there's a reason for it. And a few of us that have been talking about unified time is one way to reconcile and reconciling and bringing the ways that humans have had a discrepancy, the ways that many Mayan elders do not accept the dream spell. It's cultural misappropriation in their minds. But when we add these two together into unified time, it's an attempt for us to reconcile and to bring the healing and bridge the two things together, bridge the two timelines, so that we can heal human consciousness, so that the flowering of the awareness, the flowering of human consciousness can come into a peaceful coherence and come back to our awareness of our interconnection with the earth. Okay? And then our interconnection with the earth and the elements is exactly what we need to do to stop this from happening. We created this. We can logically look at, and I had a friend write a comment on my post yesterday. I am so incredibly grateful. He was wrapping around while studying for a test today about basically, you know, quantum physics and looking at all of these things and how does it apply? How does it apply to the now? How can we take all of these things and apply? How did we hold space last night for our friends who were being evacuated and potentially being evacuated, and all of these fires that were threatening, you know, Concow and Megalia and Paradise again? Where the campfire, we're still recovering from the campfire. We're still regenerating and rebuilding from the campfire. And yet we're facing this again. And we have to realize that, you know, we created this scenario, we created this system, and Matthew Trum spoke about it brilliantly. I love the way that he explains things, his awareness of permaculture information and how that applies to what's going on is so incredibly important right now. I am so grateful to be working with this group of people in Butte County. I am so grateful to be working with this eco restoration camp, that we are moving things forward as far as not only looking to regenerate the land and to look and respond to what's happening within what's going on, but we're building our connections with each other as humans, and nourishing and nurturing those connections is what is going to bring about our ability to connect with the awareness and to come out of our pain bodies and to be healthy enough to consciously be aware of how our interconnection with the planet and the elements has been out of sync. How we have been out of alignment with this, how we've been focused on time is money. The reason why Jose Arjueles was looking at all of this, he calls it time is art, because we have to come out of these constructs of just focused on using resources in order to build our bank accounts, and using the resources in order to perpetuate a egoic and selfish and warlike and dominant path that is the downfall of Aries and Mars. That is the unevolved side of Aries and Mars and Capricorn. And Libra, because it's out of balance. The justice is not coming through. Okay? The awareness of the karmic repercussions and the balance and the natural flow of things, we've lost sight of it. We've lost awareness of it. We've lost connection with it. Our connection with the earth, our feeling is what's going to bring our ability to cognitize what the fuck is going on, and our ability to take the evolutionary leap. We have to be able to evolve. Red Earth is also evolution. We have to be able to evolve out of the unevolved sides of what these signs and planets represent in human psychology and human consciousness. And psychology being another bridge between spirituality and actualization within the physical body, because psychology is based on physiology. It's based on science. Sociology is based on science, but it's bringing these spiritual awarenesses into our consciousness and our ability to go into our self-healing and our self-integration, self-actualization. You know, what are all these things for? What is meditation for? What is yoga for? What are these connections for? What is Reiki for? This is the cup that I'm drinking out of. I'm jumping all over the place, but it's relevant. Okay? I made this when I was at Butte College. In the graphic design department, as I was receiving my graphic design degree. And it was early on, and so the images, you know, I used a brush. I was just learning. You know, I've got the maple leaves. It's my art, but it's, you know, it's pieces that I've taken from other people's things. The symbol that is there is Chokure. That is the distance healing. What was happening, notice it's over Japan. That's the trunk is Japan. We had a massive crisis disaster in Japan the year that I made this. I believe it was 2010, 2011. Okay, so our ability to connect the dots and to understand that our healing of ourselves, and therefore our healing of our environment, our healing of what are we manifesting on the earth. I talked about before, and it's on my YouTube channel now, about the grand trine in Earth that we had just during the new moon, and we're coming up into the full moon. And then we went through a grand trine in fire during the in the last couple of days as we were entering the fall equinox. And so, you know, the ways that these things are showing up are pointing us to the elemental wisdom and the awareness of how we apply that to our human interactions with the planet, right? Our human constructs. How are we using Capricorn again? Capricorn and Saturn are the rules and regulations. The political arena right now, there's so much tension, right? We're coming up on an election. We're coming up on, again, in 2020, another chance to take a higher mind view. Blue Eagle would be 2020 vision, eagle eye vision, eagle eye view. We need to get a higher view. We need to see the whole picture. We need to understand that the seeds that we're planting in the earth, we need to be aware of what we're having and running within our consciousness, right? Within this election year, it's incredibly important that we get things right. We can't ignore it anymore. The fire's at our fucking back door. Excuse my language. But here we are. Right? Let's get very real. Okay? That's one thing that Aries is good about. We'll tell it like it is. We'll get very real. But we tell it like it is from the perspective and the lens that we see. And that's another thing that's kind of a downfall of Aries and Mars energy, is it expects everybody, it's the child, it's the innocent, it expects everybody to see things the way that we see it. Which isn't always the case. You know, with Libra, it's the awareness of, Libra has difficulties with boundaries sometimes because Libra is the peacemaker. Libra wants to be able to see every perspective. Libra wants to be able to make sure everybody is happy and that we're peacefully connected and interacting. And sometimes that can, you know, on the low side, that can mean that we're not taking a stand for what we really believe in. We're not really strengthening, okay, well, here's the core of where we are. We got to balance these things out, right? But we've also got to recognize that when whatever we believe, our own personal system, we've got to have the emotional intelligence to recognize what other people and what the whole is seeing. The whole picture. The whole picture. And in the whole picture, we've got another blue storm day. Okay? And I know, okay, Q and all of that stuff, they're talking about the perfect storm, all these things that are happening, right? Perfect storm, what would that be? That would be 10 Kawak. That would be the 10th tone, which is a manifestation and perfection, which is going to come up tomorrow, but we're going to have a planetary sun tomorrow. Yeah, things became even more literal. The clarity of 2020 vision has been, and it, yeah, I feel as this experience, abso-freaking-lutely. Now, when I saw that eye, when I saw the sun, when I saw the fire turn into an eye and it looked like a sun, that's what's happening tomorrow. That's what's happening tomorrow. We go from a 9 Kawak to 10 Ahau. 10 Ahau? Planetary sun. A planetary sun. What I saw there, you know, what came up, like there's no like, it was the fire. It wasn't the sun. It was at night. It wasn't the sun that was on the horizon. It was the fire. Now, planetary sun is, sorry, let me go back. Sun is universal fire. Enlightenment. Through universal fire. Life. That's what sun represents in the Dreamspell. Sure, yes. The sun was the first god. Go back to Sumerian time. There's a reason why we thought the sun was a god. The sun helps us grow plants. When you plant the seeds in the earth, you have to have the sun, and then you also have to have the key ingredient of when you look at a blue storm. Blue storm is the balance between the sun and the moon. What does the moon represent? The moon represents universal water. It's universal water. We have to have the balance. What's always an analog to universal water? White dog. Which is love, heart, loyalty. And the sun shone at night even as the day. Oh my gosh, Terry, there are so many synchronicities and connect the dots, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. And when you connect the dots, good morning, Robin, when you connect the dots for yourself, each of us is important. Each of us plays a role. Each of us is a key. Each of us has access to our deeper awareness of our spiritual connection within a body. We matter. Matter, matir. Matir is the term in, I believe, in... Sorry, wow, there's lots of things pinging. 1 second. Matir is matter, okay? So if we all matter, we are matter. Earth, what is the earth but matter? This is matter. How do we matter? What matters? I know you get it. I totally know you get it. What matters to us? What matters to us? How are we interacting with the earth? How are we interacting with the elements? How are we connecting the winds that go through this canyon? The winds that go through Highway 70 along the Feather River Canyon. The winds on the water. If there is a place to connect with the elements, this area I have found is absolutely it. And any place like this. We connect to the waterways, right? Could be anywhere. Could be anywhere where you're connecting water and earth. And now fire. Now fire, but, you know, usually fire is just the sun up in the sky. We haven't had to deal with these drastic fires because we're managing the forests better through indigenous wisdom. Look at this. I think this is really cool. How this is happening on the cameras. How the lenses, how the eyes of the camera pick up the light flares. You know, and people have been talking about that. They're like, oh, it's orbs, it's spirits, it's, you know. It's just the camera lenses picking up the sun in a different way that our eye isn't able to see. But the camera lenses can see it. Now, what does that tell us? That tells us that we have to be aware of higher mind. We have to be aware that there is something bigger than our individual selves. There is something bigger than just looking at an individual perspective. And I started to go into, I'm kind of jumping all over the place again. My apologies. Impetuous Aries energy. It's definitely affecting me. Anybody that doesn't know, I'm a triple Aries, Sun, Moon, and Venus. This is walking all over me. Capricorn rising. I'm very, very highly affected by this. My Mars is in Pisces. But I was talking about the political arenas, okay, and the election that we have coming up. The fire that happened here, November 8th. November 8th last year, right? Right around election time. Okay? We can't ignore the synchronicity. We can't ignore the way that everything is all synced together. We can't ignore the way that the dots connect. But we can see it in whatever way that it's relevant for ourselves and be able to see it for however it's relevant for the whole. So we have the Green New Deal coming up that the Democrats are wanting to implement. And this is incredibly important as far as permaculture awareness. This is incredibly important as far as how we recognize the scientific knowledge that we have an effect, we have an influence on our planet. The things that we do, the way that we've mismanaged the forests have created this imbalance in the water tables and an imbalance in the carbon sequestration, sequestering carbon that then takes that out of the atmosphere, takes that out of the air, and then that helps the water cycles and the water tables, and it, you know, that affects the weather. That affects the totality of it. If you think about it, if you have a lack of the ability of the vegetation to maintain water and to be part of the evaporation cycle and the condensation cycle, and you don't have the beavers on the land that are building dams and keeping the water, that's why we use swales in permaculture to channel the water, to keep the water, to sink the water into places that we want it to stay for a little while. Don't just run off. Come, you know, stay here. Quench the earth. Grow the trees. Grow the vegetation. So that then draws water up within its leaves and has the way that then that puts more water into the air and works with the oxygen and carbon dioxide within the air so that we can breathe, so that the trees can breathe. You know, it's all interrelated. This is science. This is how this all works. This is how the elements work, right? And so we've messed that up, and messing that up then caused us to not have the rainfall that we normally have here. It caused us to then go into a drought cycle that we've been in for several years, right? And so in that drought cycle, then everything dries up, the trees all dry up, and then it's perpetuated even further. We don't have the rain, we don't have the ability of the trees to be maintained, and then guess what happens? We have unnatural fires that come through and absolutely devastate us and push us out of our homes and make us fucking pay attention. Yeah, Terry, I am too. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I am an amplifier as well. That's part of this process of being a yellow lunar seed, as well as being an Aries. And I'm sure that we could look at your astrology and see exactly how that comes through. These lenses are amazing as far as being able to recognize that. Red crystal earth as well right now is that amplification in and of itself. This is the grid systems, as I was saying before. This is the crystal and grid systems getting lit up. It's getting lit up. So the political arenas, as far as our rules and laws and regulations that are happening on the physical planet, okay, within the earth, within the constructs, within the agreements that we've made religiously, politically, sociologically, psychologically, all of these things that we've co-created this experience on the planet of how we're interacting with the earth and how we're interacting with each other, right? That's all being reworked. That's all being taken a look at. Pluto is dredging all that up. Pluto ruling Mercury. It's now within our minds, within our mental constructs. And we're having a really challenging time here. We have to look at ourselves. We're being made to, within our mental constructs, look at the shadow within ourselves. Scorpio and Pluto can be a lot of shadow stuff. It's pulling up the rocks and looking at the scorpions underneath. And there's also a biblical implication there that I've seen a couple of times about the scorpion stinging those who, what is it, Terry? Maybe you can help me out here. This is not my strong point as far as like quoting scripture specifically. And that's why we have other people within our wave spells and our soul family. Somebody that we know that's a blue knight in the Mayan kin, that knows a lot more religiously than I do. However, within Christian belief systems, there is something within that as far as Armageddon and all of this, that the scorpion's tail will sting those that are disconnected, that are basically in sin, that are basically, what is sin? Sin is without. Sin is outside of the yoke. Sin is outside of the union. Sin is disconnected from God, right? What is God? God is love. God is us. God is everything. God is source. God is the elements. The Native American God was connected to the earth. Grandmother Spider is one archetypal awareness in this that fits very deeply for me within my roots, within who I am ancestrally, my Celtic roots as well, key in with that awareness, the webs that we're all woven. What have we agreed upon to co-create within those webs? We're having to take a mental look at it, wanting to bring it to justice, wanting to have a sense of balance in order to bring peace. When we connect, it's very natural and helpful. Our keys fit synced, locked. It's incredible. These ease and prowess is relieving. Disconnected from all that you say. It's the merge of oneness. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. My battery is dying. I may have to come back and do a part 2 on this and plug in. I'm not even sure. I can't see the time on this, where we're at. So there's a lot here. So this T-square here, this is a really challenging dynamic in astrology, obviously, because you've got oppositions, this opposition of our thought process about ourself and how do we fit into this puzzle piece, and what's the shadow side, and there's, you know, the unevolved tendency to point the finger. It's them, not me. It's them, not us. It's that side over there's fault, and they need to be brought to justice. Right? You know, you look at the Democratic and the Republican storylines here, and each side is like, oh no, the other side needs to be brought to justice. They're the reason this is all fucked up. Really, we are the reason this is all fucked up. And until we recognize that, and until we take responsibility for our own healing and our own place and our own part in this, and until we can feel empathically, compassionately from the feminine nurturing side, until we can feel that and connect with others and merge in that oneness, this is going to continue to be chaos. This is going to continue to be wars and battles against each other. Us and them, self and other. Black Lives Matter, but oh no, that's, you know, that's really a problem. That thing that is saying that it's here to help and heal and bring the anti-racism to the light, to the awareness, but then the other side is like, oh no, those are the terrorists, those are the people that are burning up our cities. Black Lives Matter is Antifa. No, it's not. The shadow side, wanting to point fingers at, seeing the... we need to see the balance. We need to see the yin and yang. We need to see, that's North Node in Gemini, which Mercury rules Gemini. The direction that we're going is being able to see the balance, being able to see the black and white, being able to see the things for what they are from both sides, and wanting to have a peaceful connection. We have to bring and be comfortable and feel safe with each other about how we feel about ourselves into this peaceful connection with each other. Otherwise, our constructs here are going to continue to have this heavy charge. And yeah, it's the poultice. It's when we have to lance the wound to drain the wound, but we have to be able to apply the poultice. We have to be able to apply the healing. We have to be able to apply the medicine. We can't just have this catalytic lightning energy And the lunar tone, I haven't even gone into that yet. The lunar tone is polarization. It is polarization, stabilization, and challenge. So the challenge, Aries and Mars energy is very challenging. The Ram is very challenging, right? It's challenging all of this stuff. Uranus, Aquarius, revolutionary energy, the bull. We're challenging all of this. Within ourselves, we're questioning. We're questioning, what are we doing as a whole? What are we doing on the inner planes that are connected to the earth? Right? And how are we actualizing who we really are? And how are we connecting with the higher divine mind in order to bring it all together and to heal it? And the poultice, the healing of that is another key component. That's blue hand, deer. The healing of that is where we're going to find, where we bring and bridge it all together, right? And yellow human and blue hand are analog as well. That's my, when you add yellow lunar seed to 11 Lamont, my unified kin is a yellow cosmic human, 13 Ebb, which is the road. It's the road. I'm going to do another video. I'm going to come back because there's a lot of things that can come up and we can still talk about here, but my battery's going to die. So come back if you'd like to. I'm going to recenter and reset and just, you know, try to have a more coherent stream. I know I've been kind of jumping all over the place here, but there's more to this. So I will be right back. In Lakesh, Alakin, Aloha. I love you. Thank you for being here in this space together.